Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Let's Open Stupid Things on Tables, because why not? Now, obviously, we've just had the week of, which was very successful, or not successful. God knows, it was only a week. It was probably a terrible disaster. So we're looking at something completely different. Now, you may remember that during the week of, we saw a small engine tender. Yeah. Which is... I don't know where it is right now, so I can't show it to you. Whoops. And I pointed out that we'd be looking at those things. And that was a Lonestar Loco. And we are indeed looking at those things because I have been on eBay and I have spent a decent chunk of money to acquire some of these items to look at because they are quite old toys. They are small and they get lost very easy. And as you can see, they're all... The ones that I've received are all still in boxes and packaging and so forth. So, as these have my name on, we're going to sort these things out and go through them. Yes. So I've spent a fair bit of money acquiring these items so we can have a decent, good look at everything. And I've had a very, very brief look inside this box and what's in it. In fact, we're going to turn it that way because then my address is definitely not showing because I don't want my address on. I believe I've had to blur things out before because it had my address on. So we're going to kind of get these things out and look at them basically and talk about them. And I might actually do some research into the history of these things because I would like to grab a lot more of these personally because I think they're awesome. And there's something that I was introduced to quite early on in my childhood as well. I went to play with a friend called Thomas Howard. Yeah, he probably still exists somewhere. I mean, I call him a friend. He was more of a complete arsehole. But then I was the weedy, nerdy, boo-hoo, look at me, I'm a sad kid. And whilst we were there, I noticed that he had a load of trains. And they were these very small trains, which, as you can see, are ridiculously well packaged. I probably should have gone through these beforehand. But he had these things, and I liked playing with them, and then he made them put them away. So I had to put them away. Boo. Those are ridiculously well wrapped. So we'll actually go through this box, which isn't quite so ridiculously wrapped first. But we had these trains, and I messed around with them. I really liked them. And there's some of them in this not quite so well packaged. Yes! Lonestar trains. Now look at the size. I believe this falls under the N gauge of sizing and so forth. And ironically, the first one, I looked this far into the box. This isn't actually a Lonestar engine. This is, I don't know who this is. Safety Toy Reg. No other information about who's making it. So that's not actually a Lonestar. I think that might be pre-war. So I'm going to put that to one side for the moment. But the track, as you can see, is very small. On the back, we have Made in England Lonestar Locos. Wouldn't surprise me if these were made out of lead. And they connect very simply just like that to make railway lines, which you can technically, if you really, really wanted, carry around like that. Although why you'd want to do that. And you make railway lines and then run trains on them. And in this case, if we look on the back here, this isn't a Lonestar train piece. This is a Chelsea? It's made in England and it's a sign. So, you know, it's a sign for whatnot. One of these sets has a station in them. There's a couple of signs. But I want to find some of the actual locos. Oh, I just cleaned this table as well. Ooh, now what's this in here? Let's just do what nobody should ever do, which is that. There's a loco. I mean, it's not, but it is. Here is a tram. Now, I remember these. I've seen these before. This is made in Hong Kong, so this isn't actually a Lonestar train. Although, does it fit? Doesn't even fit on the scale. This isn't a Lonestar item, but it is a tram, probably from the 1930s, like the tram design itself. I'd assume this toy is probably... It's quite heavy. Taifu T, made in Hong Kong. It does have a plastic base. So you're probably going to be looking at the 80s, 90s on that one. And a plastic roof. That's not a train. So that's two non-trains that we've got here. We've got some more of the railway line here, including a point. Ooh, and if we slip this. Yes, actual points that technically, somewhat work. And if we can even see how clean it's meant to be, these are very, very dirty. Very simple mechanism for turning there. I'm just going to put these here. Oh, okay. There we go. There's an engine, and we've got some railway lines. I said this stuff isn't cheap, and we've got some string for some reason. This stuff is not cheap at all. This whole lot that we just got here that I've just pulled out on its own was £30, which is more than I spent pretty much on the entirety of the last 7 days videos that we did. So obviously that's very, very expensive. Now I'm sure this was meant to include a station, but it doesn't. There also appears to be a roof. In fact, this has got a singular train, which we'll look at first. Here is a train from the Lonestar trains. It's, well, it's lead. Is it lead? Probably lead. Paintwork is obviously entirely gone. And guess what? It's another one of those ones that I say that should be a restoration. It probably won't be, but it will be, but I'll never actually do it. Now, I know the trains that we were getting were in quite poor condition, and this is one, but you slip it on the train track like so. Focus. And it doesn't stay on, but there you go. And then you have a Lonestar Loco. Now, obviously, this was technically before a lot of powered stuff came around for toy trains, so obviously you push it along, although they do obviously make N-gauge based things now. Here is a carriage. I was aware this carriage would be broken when I received it. I wasn't aware that it would be that broken. With the Lonestar Loco, just the one, unfortunately. So we've got to kind of slip that back on there like that, and it doesn't stay on because it's broken. Probably meant to be riveted on. It's broken. It's a shame, but it's a very heavy metal thing. I quite like that. It's a good job I brought more than one auction, really, of this stuff, isn't it? Because we can actually make something out of it. It was a very short video if we left it there. We've got this absolutely tiny cannon, which is not from a Lonestar Loco set, but we're going to include it for shits and giggles. We'll put it in the middle there. There you go. Now he's on the railway line. And that's pretty much all we can particularly look at on this one. Obviously, we didn't get a huge amount of anything. We got one actual locomotive, one carriage which won't work, which does have Lonestar Locos written on the inside of it, and two non-related things here. So we're going to have to move on to the next one, plus a load of track. The track is good. Even the broken track, which is probably good enough to stab somebody with. You could stab someone with that. Crossovers, yeah, that would be... Yeah, we're not going to keep the broken track. But we did get a couple of points. You know, we've got a set of track. We've got some cardboard for good measure. So we're going to quickly kind of just push all the track to one side, because we'll have a decent look at the track in a minute. To one side. We'll just put that over there. It makes a good noise. That's a good noise. We'll put the engines we have over here. And we'll put scenery here. So there's another piece that I've lost already. There it is. So scenery is here, engines are here, track is here. We'll save this one because that is a full engine set, which thankfully wasn't that expensive, but it was expensive enough. As in total, I spent about £70 or £80 if you include the postage on this video, and none of what I brought is in particularly excellent condition, which should go to show you how particularly uncommon the locomotive is. Now, if I recall correctly, I believe Lonestar did eventually make, more railway line, did eventually start making electrified trains and so forth into this scale, but we're still talking, I would assume, in the sort of 1950s, so no good. As you can see, we've got some curves here, so we can make some lovely railway lines. These ones are much cleaner, in much better condition, clean-wise, technically. Come on, focus. It doesn't want to focus. Come on. There we go. You can see that it's just cleaner in general. It's better track. It's not rusted. It's not painted on. So we've got a load of curved track. That obviously goes into the track line over there. We're going to get through this pretty quickly, aren't we? Oh, actually, no, we're 8 minutes in, so we're about on time for the standard video length. Originally, all my videos, I wanted them to be like 10 minutes long, but they seem to be transferring now to this whole 20, 30-minute long video thing, which, more railway line. Not bothered about looking at that, but we've got a piece of scenery. Yes. Now, that's another piece of scenery right there. I was about to do it off camera, but that would just be rude. Now, yeah. It's just... I know my videos are long. I know they can be a bit tiresome sometimes, but I do try to be as entertaining as possible. Now, besides throwing it around, what do we have here? Focusing. Focusing. Close enough. Lonestar Loco's 000 gauge station. That's right, we have a station. It's got a couple of holes in the platform that you feed the station into like this, and you can see it's red and green. Is it the right scale? It certainly looks like the right scale to go with an engine. Yes, it is the right scale, and there's going to be obviously this one side here, which has a hole in the bottom to plug into. This is a very traditional station. So we've got that, and there's obviously going to be another bit, which I don't know where it is. That looks like the engines and stuff, so we'll save those. No, these are engines. That's engines. What's that then? Well, this must be more track and something, so we'll get through the track first. As I said, scenery, I'm not going to move the scenery to the back because it's larger than the locomotive engines. It's got a little clock on it. I've only just seen that. God, these are so 1960s, it's unreal. Mind you, I suppose it is from the 1960s, 1950s, so what do you bally well expect, you daft git? Right, now what's that? Ah, more railway lines. Yes, more points. And better condition points. So we've got 3 points we can play with. Now, is this looser? No, this one. If you remember the other one that we looked at that came from the other eBay lot, which was ever so slightly cheaper. Fair enough. It really does not like focusing on this. It was a lot easier to make these like this just to be loose, but these ones are to get it there. It's a much more firm action. And we got the other bit of the station. So now, feasibly, the last 3 objects that we have to unwrap should all now be engines or trailers or other things. So let's start with this tiny one because I don't know what it is. I'm going to assume it's probably the engine. I think the carriages are locked in the other one. Oh god, this is so well wrapped. I'm going to have to leave good feedback, or just feedback in general. Ah, here we go. Yes, this is a little tiny boy Loco. Yes, look at that Loco. Now look at this. Look at this little Loco lad. He's got a little insignia on the side. Most of his paintwork's still there. Obviously no bars between the lines, but that's to be expected with toys like this. Red on the front, green and red. British Rail. Now, you compare those 2 logos together and you can see which one is a much better preserved, this little coal shunter. Very, very nice. And he's got a thing on the bottom, whereas this one just doesn't have one. It appears to have snapped off entirely. So that engine is technically useless for anything. But hey-ho. So yeah, we've got this nice little shunter with a pin on the bottom, which will connect to... I'd assume that there will be... Because we haven't seen any of the railways. I'd assume there'll be one on that side. So they can only ever be connected in one way. But a nice little engine there. Now, let's open this one. This is railway carriages. Well, cargo. I don't know what it is. I can't remember. Yeah, we've got a couple of cargo lines and a railway carriage. Lovely. We've got 3. So we'll start with this one. It's a little shed. He's unfortunately broken, so we won't be able to put him in convoy unless he's on the end. So he's got the same sort of knob. If we do this one, which appears to be an animal thing, or with Made in England, Lonestar Loco on the bottom. If we look at this guy, he's also got the knob on the end, but he's got this bit, which appears to... Oh, knowing my history of pulling bloody tiny pieces of metal, that's a bad idea. Which you kind of hook in like that, by the looks of it, so they can transport them around. But they go this way. So it starts with the engine, so you put it in like that, and then carry on. So we've got that, and finally we've got this carriage, which has everything. Now, this is a much smaller carriage than this one. You can see there's quite a size difference. They're obviously the same width and so forth. Lonestar Locos once again, and this one actually has a hole in the bottom. So rather than a hook as a hole, which you can hook in like that to keep the train on, and then a hook on this side, which you would continue on. So we've got those. The paintwork is obviously very naff on that one. This one's got holes in it. This one is just entirely painted on. Thank you, Telegram. So, you know, obviously what I was getting train-wise wasn't ideal, and I was aware that it wouldn't be the best show. So I went on eBay. 2 US something coaches green. Now, these cost, I said, about a tenner. This was actually quite fairly priced, which is why I brought it, because I was looking through job lots. You know, when I buy things specifically to review, I look for job lots. I should really find that tender, because I thought there was one included in here, but there isn't. And green, obviously, was a very standard English colour. Plus, let's go on random tangents all the time. Diesel. I like diesels. Diesels are one of my favourite types of trains. And here we go. A long, big train. Let's start with this one. Now, obviously, we said we get 2 trains and we get 2 carriages. Looking at it straight away, it certainly looks like somebody has repainted this from what its original livery would have been. I mean, just look at the strokes on the front and the way it's worn. If this hasn't been repainted, I will be incredibly surprised. I could be wrong, but I'm going to gander that I'm probably right. I mean, is the same shade of green? Same shade of green, to be fair. Lonestar Locos, made in England. Yeah, so it's all Locos. We got one of those. We got 2. We've got 2 carriages. Oh, God, if these haven't been painted over, I'll be amazed. Yeah, they're trains. The paint job on that is bloody awful, but hey, they're trains and they're together and they've all got their original thing. So we do have a properly functioning train that we can put together to make look pretty. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to make a set on the table. I don't know what that is, but it's Triang. It's got Triang on it. Oh, hey, what do you know? Triang T204 made in England. Obviously, Triang made the trains before Hornby got them. I have some trying trains somewhere. I've not gone over my train sets. This is a new one for me. I'm also going to have to go out and buy a small plastic box to store all these things in because I'm keeping these. But regardless, what I'm going to do for the moment is I'm going to make a set, like a railway line. I'm just going to build something with what we've got, and we'll have a go at running the locos around by hand because that's what you have to do, and how effective are toys they are, bearing in mind that they are very, very aged. So I'll see you soon. And here is the creation that I managed to make. It was a lot more difficult than I remember it, and bits of the track aren't lining up properly, so we probably won't be able to do a full run because I'm an idiot. There was also another problem, which you wouldn't think about up until it actually happened. I didn't notice it, but when it comes to connecting track, you may notice that in this end there's a knob, which is refusing to focus because, it doesn't like focusing on this track. But there's not a knob on this end, so you find these disconnections are quite common, and this is a very poor surface to build a train set on. Regardless, I have managed to construct one despite my best efforts. So let's just say we put the train on here, then it would literally be a case of playing choo-choo, chug-a-chug, and then it derails and everybody dies because, again, I've not made a very good track. I've really not made a very good track here. Well, you can see what's supposed to be made, so we're going to do something ever so slightly different. And again, guess what? We're going to hyperlapse this one as well, because I'm a moron. Though the station there does look quite nice, and it'd be a disaster if something happened. I'll be right back. And there we go, a nice round oval track because it just makes a lot more sense. And what I did with this one is that every single piece, except for that one there, has both of its connecting knobs. So, all going well, it should work absolutely fine. So, what I'm going to do, still not straight, it's the exact same amount of pieces. Mine actually, there's one more of these than there is of these. So let's actually just change that ever so slightly and put another one of these in. And hopefully that will balance it out now, because now there is the exact amount of pieces all the way through. We'll go for a test run by placing this one on. Now I'm going to place him here and just choo-de-choo around the track, choo-de-choo around the track. And up until that corner he was staying on quite successfully. And now he's derailed, so he's a bit naff. Let's do this one though. I want to see if anybody can actually get to the station. That's going to be the killer. Yes, Pidge, can they get to the station? We will only find out in due time. Now let's get this one on. There we go. This guy's actually got people on board. There's Peter Perkins. We can't fit him on, unfortunately, so we'll put him over here. Now, Miss Piggy Perkins, Mr. Peter Poo-Poo, and Mr. Poo-Poo are all in that carriage. And if they fail miserably, then a horrible conflict between pigeons and rabbits will break out. Can you even see that on camera? No, you can't, which probably makes it better. So off we go. I'm going to pull on the engine rather than the carriages. That's it. So we've gone along the straight just fine. Now, as we say, we get to this weird corner. Can he get round the death curve? No. We've had a derailment and we've lost one. And they have derailed. So they can't get round either. Now, of course, that means it comes down to our big old engine boy. Now, our big old engine boy is very intelligent, which is why he doesn't appear to be fit on the track. There we go. So he's on now. We're going to have him on his own just to see if he can get round this damn corner. Nope, he's derailed as well. Appears to be here when the table lowers that they're derailing. I wonder if I can just sort of do that. Cease the derailment of the trains. Oui, there will be no more train derailment in Greater France. I don't know. So now the table is flat. Around and around he goes. Where he stops, the station knows he derailed on the station. But we got him round. We got him round the entirety of the track, which is very, very nice. Telegram's still blowing off in the background. I always forget to lower that down. So let's see now if we can get him round with a train carriage. Yep, we're being brave now. He's got passengers this time. He's got the Peter Perkins family. Now these put them back on track. I originally thought they were for disconnecting couplers, but they're actually for reconnecting and getting you back on track. So around he goes. Okay, we've had a derailment, but we're going to keep going. So he's derailed, but we're going to keep going. You know, I'm going to just kind of slip this back on. We'll see at the station how effective these realignment things are if we can get that far. So he's just died, and here you go. He's back on track. You see what I did there? Back on track. And around he goes that corner, and around he comes, and we've actually had the track just break. Oh dear. Children of the 1950s, how on earth did you play with this? But there he goes. And around he goes. There he goes. Back onto the rail. And he derailed and everybody died. Everybody, boom! Excuse me. How's about we send him the opposite direction with a full train load of people? Yes, a full... If I could get him on track, maybe. Oh my goodness gracious. It's very, very fiddly. It's much as you'd expect Hornby to be. Incredibly fiddlerific. And that makes it not particularly fun to fiddle with these. Mind you, old toys, you can't expect them to be perfect, but you can expect them to have some reliable functionality. Although I suppose it explains why children of this generation at least seem to know how to put things together, because you bloody have to seem to have a master's engineer degree in bloody child play to use any of this. Wait, look, we've got now just put the engine on back. There we go. So all four are now connected. All four are connected, and we could go either way because there's a train on each end. So I'm going to take it around this way and see what happens. Okay, there was only one connector on there as well, and yeah, this one just has no connectors. Whoops! So off we go. So we're going round. We're going to do it very, very slowly. Can't help but feel the whole thing's just going to collapse in on itself because of the way I'm pulling, but we are getting round. And there you go, that keeps disconnecting. So we're going through the recoupler, realigner, whatever you want to call it. We've reached the station, so everybody's getting off, that's good. Except we didn't stop because nobody's allowed to get off the train. We've had a disconnection from the front where I'm applying the pressure. That's going to be a pain in the bum. Oh, we're losing the trains. We're losing them. We're losing them. Can we get through the decoupler first? Oh no, we lost those two, but can we save this one? No! Everybody's dead. Everybody is dead. And then, all of a sudden, a killer pigeon attacked. The killer pigeon was very, very vicious. The train fled in fear, but there was nothing that could be done because of the killer pigeon. You're trying to attack the train. Pidge, where's the train? Look, Pidge. Look, Pidge. Innocent people. Innocent people, Pidge. Pidge, look, innocent people. Well... There we go, he's standing on these ones. There we go. Well, that's a look at the Lonestar Locos. Oh dear, what a, oh there you go, he pecked the train. Do you want to do this outro or should I? Well, that was a look at Lonestar Locos, a weird train set toys from the 1950s, 60s sort of era. Probably made out of lead, probably poisoning us both drastically right now. I'm probably going to get more of these in the long run. I'll probably actually set up something on a hard surface so we can get a good look at it sometime. I'll admit it wasn't the greatest look at a set like this, to be fair, all things considered, but I thought getting the giant pigeon out to murder it would be quite funny. Yeah, stand on the station. Ha ha ha. Rah. This pigeon's going to be my feature in more bloody videos at this rate, I tell you. I'm just going to keep getting them out to ruin things. To ruin things! Anyway, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe if you enjoyed the content. If there's anything I've missed out, let me know. And if you knew or used these as a kid, which I suppose is quite possible, let me know. Yeah, I'll see you next week. You want a train? You want a train? You want a train? Ooh. Dumb bastard.